commercial.
I need makeup. I need...
Run the intro.
Good evening, Baltimore. This is Harry Gray and Coach Sean. This is Changing Baltimore. Hey, TJ, tell them. Welcome Baltimore, episode 18 of Changing Baltimore. I'm your host, Harry Gray.
Your co-host, Coach Sean.
And this is Changing Baltimore, sponsored by Homegrown LLC, Brainstream Media, and Moe's Seafood on Pulaski Highway. I don't want to turn this beat off. I'm just kind of jamming a little bit, bring back a lot of memories, man. How's your week been?
Great. How was yours?
It's been a week. It's been a week, man. And just glad to be here amongst everybody that's looking in on the show tonight. Everybody that's here. Just glad to be, above the living and putting on another good show for us for this week.
Absolutely, and we got some outstanding guests in the house. It's the Poly City Week. Am I saying that right?
City Poly.
Okay. So Poly City Week coming up, and we got some great guests to speak of. Coach Roger Wren is in the building, and Coach, I should say Coach Aliel is in the building, and got some other city nights, and we ready to roll.
And this is this is probably one of the biggest weeks in Baltimore. This is something that everybody looks forward to.
Yep.
I think more so the festivities, more so than the game. But we definitely want to talk about the game. But I know all alumni, they definitely want to, they're looking forward to all the festivities that's going to go on Saturday.
In the game.
One of the city knights said, "In the game." I don't know about the game. We're going to talk about that right now. So, again, what's been happening, and we definitely want to keep this lighthearted, because I think this is something great for Baltimore. It's a great tradition that's been going on for years. But, there's a little controversy. Last week, we had some of the Baltimore City teams not finishing the season well. There was a scuffle between City and Digital Harbor. And it was a black eye for Baltimore City. And we, a lot of people have their opinion on what should happen. I was one that would say, hey, there's no way that they would cancel the City Poly game over what happened with City and Digital Harbor. But Digital Harbor is not playing this week. They had Mervo. But now you're looking at City and Poly. How do you, punish or give a consequence to City? There have been some players that have been suspended. Do you play that game? Do you treat them like you did Poly and Lake Clifton a couple of weeks earlier, where both teams had to actually forfeit their next game because of a fight? So, again, my opinion, we're getting to the end of the season, and you have a lot of teams, you have a lot of players that some of them are, frustrated, how their season is going, whether it's personally or as a team. And, once a game is over or during the course of a game, they're showing all of these emotions. Digital won that game last week against City, and I think they were very emotional because for them, it was a big game. And they showed their emotions, and, I guess other people didn't like it, and it led to what it led to. So tell me, how you feel about that, Coach said.
It's tough, man, because, I was always taught, discipline, win, lose, or draw. And, we try to, as coaches, we try to set a precedence early not to fight. And if you fight, it's going to be major in-house consequences. But I guess in the heat of the battle, it's kind of tough, or easier said than done, but that's tough. But, even when you're not successful, if it's not a successful year, you still have to be disciplined. You have to carry yourself in a certain manner, but it's tough because you're talking about the heat of battle. You're talking about the game of football. It's tough.
So do you think what we've been talking about since May, when we talk about our youth, how angry they are, do you think we're spilling that over to the athletic arena?
Absolutely. I think that youth football football in general in Baltimore is a microcosm of what's transcending in our city. And, it's just, we need more mentors and we need more guys to kind of set these guys in the right way. But I'm coaching Little League football now, and it's tough because, sometimes the moms don't want to really let go. It's hard to coach them especially the way I was coached. And it's hard to coach them, man. It's rough. I'm not even going to say moms. I'm going to say parents, period. But, it's just tough, man.
I think our kids don't understand how their behavior on and even off the field can really sit back and give out all these consequences when we play other teams. I know coaching for Mervo, you have a reputation of this team or this organization loves to fight. Well, that's not true, but everybody will always paint a picture of what's going on. We went to Delaware last year and was involved in an altercation in Delaware. They started it. But when it got to the media, it was like, hey, Mervo came to Delaware and they've done this, and this. So it made it like, okay, do we really want to come to Baltimore City, in the heart of the city and play any team, especially a Mervo or a Patterson or a Dunbar, because we don't know if we want to get out of there and we're fighting. So I think we really truly got to be careful of how we do things on and off the field. But we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to have our first guest with us this evening. I think, again, we're going to get this show rocking and rolling. And I think if you really want to be involved in changing Baltimore, give us a call. Talk about City Poly City Robbery, what it means to you. And if you have any suggestions on how we can change the culture of our kids in Baltimore, give us a call. That number is 410-417-7067. And we'll be back with our first guest. Welcome back, Baltimore. Welcome back. First segment of Change of Baltimore, episode 18. I'd like to introduce to everybody our first guest, legend in Baltimore City. If you know anything about Baltimore City football, even Baltimore City baseball, you can't mention those sports without mentioning this gentleman right here, the young coach, Mr. Roger Wren. How you doing, Coach?
I'm wonderful.
I know this is not your first interview, but we definitely going to talk about, this City Poly City week. Definitely. Coach, you've been coaching over 40 plus years. And that's longer than a lot of people that's coaching right now have been alive, because we have a lot of young coaches in Baltimore City. You retired in 2011 with 183 wins, 113 losses, and 2 ties. You coached in the 123rd City Poly game, which you guys won that year, along with being 10-0 that year and winning the city championship. Just need your opinion. How is coaching in that City Poly game special to you, and what you think it means to those players?
Well, what makes it special is when you've got a rival like that, it's the culmination of the year. It's always the last game of the year. It's something that people look forward to. People talk about it. I mean, in my 45 years of coaching, I thought one of the most memorable things that ever happened, when I first got the Poly job, I was invited down for lunch with a group of guys who had played for Poly in the 1940s during the war. And they asked me to come down and meet with them. And they talked about the games they played in. And the one guy talked about his brother who got the letter saying that they'd beaten City. And he knew he'd read the letter because when they found his body after the Battle of the Bulge, it had the letter impressed by it. And I tell you, that brought a tear to my eye, but I thought, man, there's some tradition here.
I don't think people understand how old this rivalry is. The rivalry is older than Army, Navy, and Michigan and Ohio State. So you're talking about major college football. I believe Princeton and Rutgers was an old rivalry, but we're now roughly at 100, almost 130 games in. This is something that shuts down Baltimore City. Just to get up for that game, Coach, getting it in the back then it was Memorial Stadium, then it was M&T Bank Stadium. Just to walk through those doors in that locker room on that stadium, how did it make you feel as a coach?
Well, it was exciting for me, but I mean, for the players, it was just a once in a lifetime. And I felt like the movie Hoosiers, where they measured the basket to make sure it was 10 feet. We'd get on that M&T field and they'd say, man, this is a lot longer than our field. I said, no, it's the same length. We're going to walk all the way down to the other end and walk all the way back. But it was hard to get them to practice because they were all just looking up in the light.
Well, it's special to me because I played with Coach Wren at Patterson, and I coached with him at Poly. And it was tough, but I didn't know the game until I coached with Coach Wren. I thought I knew the game, but I really didn't. And the discipline and the dedication and the hard work that I learned from Coach Wren is just, translating to my life. And I always tell people all the time, when I met Coach Wren in 1985, that basically just changed my life. Coach Wren just changed my life. And I just want to publicly tell Coach Wren that I love him and he changed my life.
Now, you're one of the few coaches that have been able to coach on both ends, because in 1972, you were on the city end. So just tell me how being assistant coach in 72 at City and then coming to Poly at 2006, how were you able to kind of, again, get things switched over? Because you were at Patterson in 74.
First, I got to tell Cedric I love him too, and I really do appreciate his kind words. But you know, that's why I'm in the game, man. I love my players. I love being around them, and I love seeing them as adults and how well they've done. I came to Baltimore and coached at City College, and I was one of the lowly assistants along with George Petrides. He and I were kind of the last two youngest coaches, and he'd gone there and told me a little bit about the traditions and whatnot. It was a thrill. It was a thrill to go out on that field and see all those people and just how exciting it was. And then 32 years at Patterson. Now, I didn't stick at City because I kind of thought, you know, people who were in the know in football in those days said, well, you know, there's these two young coaches at City, or at City that are pretty good coaches, Wren and Petrides, but the job really belonged to Petrides because he could. Anyway, 32 years at Patterson, then kind of my retirement job was to go to Poly and see the other end of that, and that was a great experience too. And I wish I'd been young and pretty the way I was when I coached Cedric, and I probably would have stuck around a little longer, but I just got too old to really do it after a while, and I thought I'd get out of there before they started treating me like Joe Paterno and pushed me to the side. You know?
Again, man, I don't think Baltimore can thank you enough for what you have done for, you know, Baltimore City, the Baltimore City Coaches Association, which even to this day, we seem like we can't get it right. we just can't get it right. To, you know, making schedules and doing the things you're doing and putting out great products for our ball players who's now coming back into coaching. But it was stated that in 2011, that was your best Poly team. So tell me why that team was so special.
Well, they were all mine. I mean, they hadn't played for anybody else, and I'd had them for 4 years. So the 2010 and 2011 teams were guys that had not known any coach except me, and I'd finally gotten a coaching staff there that contained a lot of my guys, including Sid over here to my right, and people that I knew and loved and enjoyed being around. And so, I mean, we were hard in the weight room and hard on the practice field and prepared really well for it. And it was just a joy to coach those guys.
I was just telling Sid before we, you know, went on, I said I've been coaching since 1989, and felt that I didn't learn the game of football until probably roughly about 2003. A lot of things that I did or do in special teams, I kind of looked at Patterson and Coach Wren and got from them. A lot of coaches didn't understand it, but I said, you know, Coach, you know, all the coaches that I played for, I said, look, we got to stop this. You know, we got to stop the muddle huddle. We got to, I don't know what you guys called it on the kickoff when everybody huddled and you hit the ball. I said, look, I love that stuff. And I was like, you can't find the ball. We got to practice against it. Why not try to do it? So I imitated all those things, and what it made some of the coaches do and what it made me do is pay more attention to special teams, because we knew when we played a Roger Wren team, one of the things you had to pay attention to was special teams. If you didn't, you were going to probably get another 24 points scored on you just off of special teams. So, again, I thank you for what, you know, you meant to me, and we hadn't even discussed baseball. Again, we'll definitely do that in the spring, have you back on again. But you got any predictions for this week?
Well, I'll be rooting for Polly because, of course, that was the last place it was. But it's Polly needs to win. It's been a while since they won, and I think the last time they won was 2011. I got a couple of our players out here in the audience, and they can tell you better than I can. It'll be exciting. It always is, and those kind of games, it's hard to predict because there's just so much emotion, and the whole week at school leads up to it. It's hard to get much done in school because every day is a special day, and half of coaching them is getting them calm enough to be able to play their own games.
Right.
And I appreciate you talking about special teams. They were always close to my heart, and I'd like to tell you I invented all that, but I stole it from other people too.
We stole it together, so I definitely stole it from you. So, Coach Rick, thank you so much, man. Change in Baltimore thanks you for everything that you've done for Baltimore City. I know Coach said,
Absolutely.
and coaches and everybody that's watching would like to thank. Glad to see you come out. So when I got the text that you were coming, I was elated. That was coming out.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'd like to tell you that, I took a lot more away from my experience in Baltimore City than I ever gave. I mean, it was just absolutely a pleasure to be here to coach. I wouldn't trade this life for any life I could have lived. That's true.
Thank you, Coach Wren. And we will be back with segment 2 of Changing Baltimore in just a minute. Thanks so much, man. Thank
Yeah, you stay over with it. I get the cake.
Hopefully, we'll be all right.
Welcome back, Baltimore, Changing Baltimore. This is segment 2, episode 18. I'm your host, Harry Gray.
Co-host Coach Sad.
We're sponsored by Tone Drone LLC, Brainstream Media, and Mo's Famous Seafood on Pulaski Highway. I should just let this beat play throughout the interview. I don't want y'all to get up and start dancing though. But yes. I'd like to introduce our next guest, Mr. David Jefferson. How you doing, Coach Dave?
Well, how's it going, Coach?
It's going well. Coach Dave, you graduate of Carver High School. graduate of Florida A&M, and you're now the owner of XOA Sports here in Baltimore. Let's talk about XOA Sports.
I started the company really to make sure that we can provide, sporting goods more affordable for kids, and more importantly, their families. I just know how hard it is growing up, raising kids, and putting them in organized sports. With the huge expense that comes along with that, being able to afford the gear, whether it's the cleats, the gloves, the visors, all those things. So just finding different ways that I can make, those parents, feel a bit more comfortable with sending their kids to football practice and making sure they're comfortable and feeling good and playing good at the same time.
So I know, I've experienced it with our players at Mervo. The prices are not expensive. They are affordable. Tell us some of the products that you have and some of the prices and how you're able to get these products to the kids in the community that really truly needs it.
Well, most of our gear most of our cleats starts around $60, $65. Can go up to $90, and that's for the Under Armour Spotlights, which is like super huge, super popular right now. Both the all the different colorways from all the different schools, and then I have the Nike line as well, and then I have a few Adidas lines that are sprinkled in there as well. So everything from $65 on up to $90 is probably the most expensive shoe that I offer as far as cleats. Most of the gloves retail for around $55, $60, and I sell them for $25 and $30.
Wow.
So that's just the sporting gear on the football side. That's not even talking about the athletic wear and things like that.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys actually been in business?
So it's funny you say that. So we ran a test for about 2 years to see if there was going to be a demand in the market, whether people were going to gravitate towards it, and whether it was going to make sense for us to continue to do it on a large scale. So we did that for about 2 years, and it was kind of like took a leap of faith 2 years ago. So 2017 was the first time we went out there and came to the masses and said, hey guys, you guys have given us enough feedback. We feel like we can keep this going. So we appreciate the support and just want to make sure we can keep it going for the years to come.
So how many teams so far in Baltimore City have you guys actually have done business with? I know you definitely, the Mervo kids has been one, but how's everything else in
Should
Baltimore
be
City?
all of them.
Oh, it's a lot of them. And every year we get a different team. So we started off obviously with Emerson, where I first started coaching at. And then we got Mervo on board. Emerson's basketball team was on board. Mervo's basketball team was on board. Even down to the recreation league. We did the West Baltimore Ravens this year, and did the whole team. And that we made a nice little video, put it on Instagram and social media to just showcase that these teams are interested in making sure these kids are going to have the best gear out there, but also at the affordable price. So we've been working with the Dunbars, and we have a bunch of us. We have a huge support from Mount St. Joe, which is huge. Calvert Hall has actually been a huge supporter, surprisingly, where we get 3 or 4 orders a week from those guys to make sure they look nice as well.
Well, yeah, because we need, especially at an affordable price, because everything is really, it's just so expensive to kind of outfit these kids today, especially at a singular, you know what I mean? But as a whole, they tried to kind of come down on some of the prices, but it's really expensive, man. And I have an 11-year-old, and he's a big dude, so cleats
And their feet are constantly growing, their bodies are growing. So every season, sometimes more than once in a season, they're having to purchase this gear over and over again.
yeah, I gotta buy at least 2 pair of cleats a year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Coach David, how can people get in contact with you if they want you to come and show what you have as far as your catalog?
We are on all social media platforms at OA Sports LLC. Our website is www.oasportsllc.com. So we try to keep it pretty much the same going across all our social media platforms.
Gotcha. Thank you for coming on, Coach Dave. And also, before we go on break, I do want to make a correction. I said Coach Wren had 183 wins. It's not 286 wins.
286.
286.
Don't show my coach like that.
Yeah. Everybody's like, no, man, no. That ain't right. So, yes. Definitely had to, correct that, but never want to slight a legend and what the work that they had done. So, yes, it's 286. He needs to come back and get 14 more wins so it could be an even 300. So again, we'll be right back after these messages. with segment 3 of Changing Baltimore.
Hey, Hearn. 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 20 seconds. You good? Sound good? All right, I'm gonna count you down. 10, 9, 8, 7.
Welcome back, Baltimore, segment 3, episode 18 of Changing Baltimore. We've got two city nights here. So, you know, we've been talking poly. We're gonna switch it up just a tad bit, you know, with the city nights. We have James class of 2001, and we have Kevin Booker, class of 2013.
2003.
He looks old for 2013, boy. I tell you, them city nights, oh my goodness. How you doing? How y'all doing, guys?
Doing good, man.
All right. Talk about it, man. This week, City Poly City. I want you to definitely tell me how it feels, man, to get up for that game as former players. The biggest game of the season.
Again, been a 3-year varsity starter for City, man. It's definitely an experience like no other. You just have to, like, it's no other homecoming outside of like going to like an HBCU that match that. Just the week leading up to it, just the activities. It's definitely the intensity just throughout the week, just wanting to be poly. It's definitely words, and there really aren't any words that can explain it. I mean, only thing I can say, if you ever gone to like an HBCU or like a Morgan or something down south, that is the only thing I can think of match.
What about you, Kat?
I mean, it's an incredible experience, just like being in high school all week long. The assemblies, everybody getting pumped up, walking through the hallways, high-fiving everybody. Even once you leave the building, everybody, you know people in your family that with the city, so they understand. You run into people in the streets that with the city, and everybody's just talking about the game. And like to have that experience, to play at M&T Bank Stadium as a high school kid, it's incredible. And it's like, we go to the school, we go to City College, we get that police escort down to the stadium, and it's like you feel big time, like you can't help it because everything is so big around you. So it's an experience that you have in your mind for the rest of your life.
So do y'all really dislike those guys in the navy and orange?
You know what? As a you don't now. I think as a student athlete at the time, like it wasn't. It didn't really intermingle like with a lot of poly student athletes, but now it's definitely it's a genuine love. Like it's a good time. It's a mutual respect. Ultimately, it's it's competition across the board, like from academics to athletics. It is you have nothing but respect for other schools. So
I feel the same way. Like, just mutual respect. You know what I mean? It's like, Poly's a great institution, so is city. So it's like when you have places like that in our city, which isn't a huge city, but two great schools, it just amplifies everything. It just makes everything better. Just the competition, just to try to be the best academically and athletically.
So is it a big difference? I know you guys weren't able to play in the traditional games that were on Thanksgiving. I don't want to say how old I am. I guess the gray hair may tip it off. But I remember the City Poly game being played at Memorial Stadium on Thanksgiving. And I think I went to one game and I was in awe of that atmosphere. And then it moved down to M&T Bank. But when it was taken away on Thanksgiving, I honestly thought it was taken away from the tradition. And it's been great for you guys to kind of keep it going like it's going. I think with the tailgate and all the festivities, I think, everybody has embraced it. Tell me again, I know that y'all are older and you graduates, the festivities leading up to that game or during the course of the game.
So, as a student athlete, obviously you have the band going through, school, getting everybody pumped up, going, as classes are going on. So it's like, it's really no class during the week. It's really like we're getting pumped up and getting everybody ready. And obviously you have the pap rally on that Friday, which is, again, like no other. Back when I was at City, we had one of the greatest bands out there. And it was just true school spirit. It's school spirit all the way throughout. Again, everybody's, black and orange, and it's a great feeling. Now, the festivities now, currently, it has it has spiraled into something just wonderful. Again, it is we call it the City Poly Fest, Poly City Fest. It is a festival. It has grown, it's to the point where, regardless if you went to City, regardless if you went to Poly, we have schools, we have individuals who have not gone to the schools who come and enjoy the festivities. And it's actually a really beautiful thing for the city. You can see everyone that's out there enjoying one another, enjoying the music, enjoying just embracing the idea of City Poly, and if you aren't having any issues, typically what you would think of when you see a large event in Baltimore City. Again, I can't think of any issues that we've ever had at a City Poly Fest. It's always good, wholesome, competitive fun.
I remember when my junior year, Coach Patrice used to show us videos of the games when they were on Thanksgiving, because he wanted us to switch back to Thanksgiving so bad. But at that time, us being young, like we wanted a chance to play in the playoffs. So it's like there's trade-offs, right? So it's like if you play on Thanksgiving, you don't have an opportunity to play in the playoffs and possibly contend for a state championship. So we always elected, like, we want to play, have it as a regular season game so we can move on. But it's like, I'm glad now that they still have it the way they have it, and that the tailgate has grown to be, such a large event where so many people come out. Like James said, people from different schools even come out with their jackets, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's been an incredible thing, and I'm glad that it's continuing to grow, and I'm glad that everyone's having a good time, and I'm glad that nothing negative is coming out of this event. So it's good.
The event is so big. I've graduated with some people at Northern High School, and they're wearing Poly or City sweatshirts. And I hit them on Facebook, like, you're a Northern Viking. Stop faking. So it's grown big. Everybody wants to be a part of that. And I'm being honest, as as a spectator, as a student of the game, and someone that loves high school football, I missed this game being on Thanksgiving. And I know it was some talk, Kevin, that, you know, would City and Poly, or at least City, go back to being just independent so they can play that game on Thanksgiving? I think y'all should have went independent. And, we'll talk about the state playoffs later, but I just think, man, this is so big for the city. Can y'all say Poly? Because I know, y'all couldn't say the other school. Y'all would say the other school. Yeah, it's like the other school. Like, y'all are the castle on the hill, and they the recreation center on Cold Spring, man. So is that still true? So, hey man, look man, I want to thank both you guys for coming on. I know y'all rooting for come this Saturday. Just keep up the spirit of Baltimore and City College along with Poly. Keep this tradition going. I'm hoping for a great game on Saturday. But I can tell you one thing, because this rivalry is so old, this is something, no matter how the records are, this is a game that should be on ESPN. Because it's that old, it means so much to a city. And there's so many people around here that went to City or Poly. I think it'll be great, so maybe we can lobby, even though I didn't graduate from City or Poly, but we can lobby to try to get this game on ESPN to show what Baltimore City football and tradition is all about. All right, also, there is a documentary that's out by Brainstream Media that I think is tremendous. They had the viewing on Monday, I believe it was, at the Senator. And when you almost sell out the Senator for this, that means, hey, this rivalry is big. So it's bigger than all of us, man. Let's keep it going. And I want to thank y'all for coming on.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Y'all good? We good.
All right, thank y'all. Thanks for coming on. Bring up the calling
Come on, big fella. Come on, man. Hey, y'all unmuted the mics? Unmute the mics. Unmute.
Welcome back. Changing Baltimore. I'm your host, Harry Gray.
Co-host, Coach Sid.
This is Changing Baltimore, sponsored by Tone Drone LLC,
Tone Drum.
Brainstream Media, and Mo's Famous Seafood. Our last segment of tonight, we brought the Poly guys up here.
Uh-oh.
That's it.
Yes, Poly. They were singing the fight song in the bathrooms. They was getting it in. They saying they're ready for City, man. They're ready for this week. I'd like to introduce Coach Paul Taylor and Coach Gabe Aliel. Yep. Welcome, guys. How y'all feeling tonight?
Pretty good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, all right. Talk to Coach Paul. Talk to me about the City Poly, because you were on the 2011 team.
Yes.
Talk to me about this rivalry.
So, first and foremost, I will say, we gotta change the name. The name of the game is the Poly City game. You want to establish that?
Absolutely.
Second of all, I mean, I think when I think about that game, I think of the tradition, think of the rivalry really, and that there's nothing more that mattered to me at Poly than beating City. I think a lot of people will talk about the rivalry and how much it meant to them, but really, the best weeks of practice we ever had were those weeks. Going into those weeks, thinking about M&T and all those different things. So, really glad to be here. Glad to talk about the rivalry. Glad that I was a part of it, to be honest.
Coach Gabe?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I also agree it's the Poly City game. I always look forward to the rivalry, even as an adult today. It's something that definitely was a tradition that I didn't even fully appreciate when I was a student there. And as an adult, you really get to see how much of an impact this tradition and this rivalry really has on Baltimore City. And it was just a privilege to be a part of it. And playing at the stadium in itself was just a thrill like no other that I'll just never forget. And I just really appreciate the experience of being able to be a part of that experience.
Well, I was a part of it through Coach Ray's regime, and when my first game there, I was so excited I wore the wrong shirt. Coach Ray told us to wear the blue dress shirt. I wore the polo shirt. And but to go in that battle and walk through that tunnel with my mentor, man, the prestige of that game, just to go in the battle with Coach Ren against them guys, it was like a dream to me, man. And coaching at Poly was one of the best coaching jobs I've ever had. And I remember the day I sat down with Coach Ren at Cherry Hill, New Jersey. We was at a coaching clinic, and the year prior to his retirement, he was telling me he was going to retire, and I didn't believe it. And I told Coach Ren that. I said, "No, I don't believe it, Coach." But the day he did retire, it tore me up. It tore me up at the banquet, and but the play in that game, or the coaching that game with Coach Ren, that meant everything to me. That was everything to me.
So now, you guys, like I said, were part of that 2011 team. So going into that game, you guys was 9-0. Pretty much that year, y'all ran through Baltimore City. I'm one of the coaches from Merle that y'all ran through too. So it is so funny when certain pictures they show Coach Ren. It's like, man, that's the Merle game in 2011. Like, where's all these pictures coming from? But you guys were explosive. You guys were the best team in the city that year. So going into that city game, what was y'all feeling? What was the atmosphere going into that game? Were you too confident, or was it, hey, you know what, we still got a battle because this is city?
I think the big thing about the game really is to understand that really records get thrown out the window. When you think about the Poly City game, really it could matter less how many games you won beforehand, how many games you hope to win after. That game is the biggest part of your season. And so I think going into that game, just understanding that, I think there's never a sense of too much confidence. I think a lot of times you just want to make sure you show up. Make sure you're the same player that you were 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, or something like that. So definitely not too confident. I think we were always kind of ready to go. Nothing could get you more prepared for that game.
I would agree. We definitely weren't overconfident. We definitely had to be level-headed. We went into that game, one, knowing that this tradition, like I said before, is so huge, and everybody is looking at us, everybody's watching, and we're just going to perform like we did every other week. We go into the game. Coach Ren is literally the best coach I've ever had the privilege of playing for. He prepares you thoroughly to play in any single game, and this was a playoff atmosphere every year. And it was hard to go to the playoffs and play a game because we just put so much energy into being city. It was hard to really get up for the next week and play a Hereford or Eastern Tech. But I would say that we definitely were thoroughly prepared due to the coaching that we had. Luckily, I was able to also play JV for Coach Ed to my left, who was definitely influenced by Coach Ren, and I saw that in many ways when I got to the varsity level. So I was in many ways coached by Coach Ren for 4 years in my time at Poly, which definitely benefited me in the long run, and that success in that time being there, for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about that. But your biggest rivalry being played the last game of the season, and you're already in the state playoffs, you're going to leave it all on the field that night. with your rival, did you have anything left going into week 11, which is the first week of the playoffs, or were you guys saying, hey, look, we won Baltimore City, we went 10-0, we beat our rival. What's going to go on with the playoffs? We really don't care. So.
I mean, I think when you think about the playoffs, I mean, I know I just talked about throwing out the records, but I mean, the playoffs are basically a new season, So you go into the playoffs really ready to kind of push for the stake. I think there's nothing to compare to the Poly City game. There's no kind of preparation that'll get you there, get to the same spot, but I think you try to emulate that moving forward, because I think, just like Gabe said, it is a playoff atmosphere. You have to win that game. I think coming into the season, that's number one on the list. You gotta win that game. So, it's basically playoffs from week 9 on. You gotta win no matter what. So, no change.
Definitely. We tried, I'll tell you that. Every year we tried. We was running 10 sprints after practice all year. Come playoffs, we running 12. But it was definitely hard to emulate the energy and the excitement that you put into that week, because the school's not even as excited for the playoffs as they were the week before, So it's really, you definitely try to get up there, but it's nothing like playing in the atmosphere of a Poly City game and that Poly City rivalry. You really can't match it.
I just want to state also that I just don't think that we put enough emphasis on the city championship. And I think when you playing the Emersons and the Dunbars and of course the Knights, then you're going into the playoffs, man. It's just huge, and you're beat up prior to getting there, and Coach Rims had to prepare them guys to get ready for the playoffs after that grueling season. And I just don't think that we give enough, or we just don't put enough emphasis on that city championship. And I think that's well overdue.
Yeah, I just think I was talking to Coach Brand again before the broadcast, and we were talking about, being that Mervo, or being the Dunbar, and then going through, the cities, the Pollys, the Emersons, the Pattersons, sometimes even the Forest Parks and the Douglases. They're going to be physical. They may not be more fundamentally sound than what you are, but they're going to be physical. That city schedule really prepared you for the state playoffs. So if you were playing a wing T team and you sit back and say, we got Patterson this week, we can kind of look at that film, because that prepared us to play that wing T team. If you had a smash mouth team, you can say, hey, that was Dunbar, that was Emerson. That prepared it. I think, we haven't had the success in Baltimore City as far as the state playoffs as we should, but I don't think people should overlook what we do, in Baltimore City and what that championship really means. Now, I think a lot of people may say, it's watered down, but you're still going through the gauntlet of Baltimore City, the rivalries, and just, hey, this is my buddy. I got 5 buddies that play for this team. I need to beat them today. So, my last question of the night, how much pressure do the alumni put on you guys going into this game?
I think in a lot of ways, this is a testament to Coach Brent, honestly, but it's easy to kind of block that stuff out. Especially as a high school kid, you're not really thinking about, what is this person that graduated 10 years ago think about the game. I'm locked into that game. I think as an alumni now I try to put a lot of pressure on kids. Probably, we've been struggling the last couple of years, and I think a lot of that is just kind of not necessarily the focus in the game, right? A lot of things going on outside the game. There's a lot of distractions and things like that. So I think having a legendary coach and Coach Ram, you really kind of put those blinders on. You're almost not paying attention to those alumni. But I think there is a lot of pressure out there, for sure.
I would 100% agree. We were definitely focused on the task at hand every week. Even week 1, we were pointing at City at the end of practice. We were breaking our circle, and we pointed right at City at the end of every week. And we were definitely thoroughly prepared. But I think that the rivalry, like I said before, is such a beautiful thing. It's such a wonderful thing. And I just really genuinely appreciate being able to, as an adult, really be able to appreciate and enjoy and participate in the festivities of this wonderful rivalry.
Well, I remember we lost. I think it was the first 2 games, I think. And Coach Brent had a meeting. He said, listen, if we lose next year, we all going to get fired. And so that motivated us to come back which was Coach Wren's third year, to just beat them 4 years in a row. So, it's really, when Coach Wren tell you that we're going to get fired, that was a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So I want to thank you guys, man, for coming on. I know I don't have to ask you guys who you think are going to win. It's time to break that streak the city's been getting y'all for the last couple of years. Say your prediction on the game. Yes, I put pressure on you.
Polly, take me, Polly, follow we,
As we go marching
On to victory.
Yeah. All right, thank you guys. This is another episode. You know, City Night told me to wrap it up, man. We're going to go number 5. You know, my daughter's in the band, man, so my prediction is Polly.
That's right. That's right.
There's some change in Baltimore. Thank you guys for coming out, man. Have a great weekend. City Polly. Love you, Baltimore. We're out. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Put your music on.